And good morning.
Hey, good morning and happy Tuesday it is, isn't it? I'm Kim Spillers with Rural Community Solutions, where we help you design family-friendly, youth-centered places that attract the people that you want to live in your community.
So in the last couple of weeks, what we've been doing is going through how do you create a startup community? You can create places, you can create spots to where they meet, but if you don't have a startup community mindset, then the leverage that you're going to use is not going to be as long lasting. You want to start using things that'll be long lasting change and transition within your community. And if you are to take advantage of the culture today, of that, we're looking for workers that will move into your community that are teleworkers that choose the community and then bring their job with them. That's where they're at right now. And so that's the trend. And if your community wants to have that type of a person move in, you need to pay attention because it's a long-term commitment. It is going through steps to get you there, and it's creating the greatest leverage that will make transition and sustainable change in your community.
So last week, what we did on Rural Community Solutions on our live stream is we talked you through the 4 pillars on which Rural Community Solutions is built: relationship, engagement, collaboration, and entrepreneurship. And this week, oh, look, there's a picture of it for those of you on the podcast. We have a diagram that's up that describes our 4 prosperity pillars. This week, what we're doing is taking a quick walk each day through our 5 institutes. Yesterday on Monday, we talked about the Community Prosperity Institute. And today we're going to talk about our next step. In our 30 plus years of experience, we have created a whole system to help your community grow and thrive. So yesterday was Community Prosperity Institute, and today we're going to talk about our Small Community Leadership Institute.
So you have to put together 3 components right now. 1, you need a collaborative leadership organization. In other words, you need the collaborative leadership that is working and bringing people together that makes sense. All right. It's not about the project. It's about the people working together. So we've talked about collaboration. We've talked about collaborative leadership. This is the organization that you need to surround yourself with all the institutes. This is the funnel that the institutes, that the process goes through to your community to make sense. All right. And yesterday we talked about the Community Prosperity Institute, where vision is the outcome. You need to know where you're going, but you need to know where you're at and where you're going on how is your place doing, how's your economy doing, and how is your people doing. How is your people doing? Yeah. So how are your people doing?
How are your people doing?
So you need to ask those 3 questions, both quantitative and qualitative research wise. And then you need to start developing your leadership. Now that leadership needs to be developed in such a way that it's not just having a leadership program in your community where you bring in your resources. Everybody knows what the government does. Everybody knows what county government is. Everyone knows how to run a meeting. Everyone knows how the resources at Extension work, or how the resources at your economic development organization work, or your Chamber of Commerce. Those are important elements, but that's not leadership. That's not really working at your leadership component.
The other thing that you're missing, if you take only the people who are the paid leaders, you're missing an entire valuable resource of people who typically are not involved in your leadership development or in the decision making that that takes place in your community.
So leadership really takes place by learning and by building relationships. So take that first pillar of relationships. The words that you use matter, and your attitude matters, because the words that you use builds your environment. The words that you use around how your community is, or what's happening in your community, that really does matter. And that builds your mindset, that builds the people's mindset. So you need to be clear on your vision. All right. You need to be clear, and you need to keep that collaboration attitude going, because the collaborative partnership that you form, and it's inclusive. It doesn't exclude anybody. So this is not a finite leadership program. This is not a finite leadership activity. This is an all-inclusive activity that accepts anybody that wants to come in. And when I say accepts anybody, I mean you roll out the welcome mat. You roll out the red carpet to anybody that wants to be involved. The other step is you can't just wait for people to ask to be involved. You have to go get them, because people will not be involved in something they do not feel like they would be welcomed at. And so you need to open your arms, roll out the welcome mat, and then go ask people to be involved. And by asking people, it's not putting an ad in the newspaper. It's not posting anything on Facebook. It is relationships, building that relationships, going to ask them to be involved.
Often in rural communities, especially, or travel across the country, we have found the most interesting leadership people in places that you might not normally look. People are looking to be included. They want their values and they want their ideas to be included in what takes place in the town where they live. So what we encourage that you do is to look at the people who are in your service sectors, your frontline industries, because those are the people where we often overlook their input. We often don't ask them what they think. And so if you go to your convenience stores, the people who work behind the counters at your convenience stores, if you talk to your baristas at the coffee shop, if you talk to your restaurant servers and ask them, what do they think? You will get amazing responses. You'll really get a pulse on the community that you may not know exists, but has tremendous impact on what happens in your town.
So when you go out and you ask them, one of the things they might say, no, thank you, I don't want to be involved, but don't give up on them. Ask them again, because what you're really doing is building trust. You might have lost trust. The traditional leadership might have lost trust with the community. And so trust is a major factor in effective leadership. And when that trust is broken, when that trust is lost, you have some work to do to regain it, to build it back to where people trust. And that is through a collaborative vision, that is by including people that aren't normally included. And so you need to work through that trust factor and start building that trust back into your community. And that's really a commitment by leadership, a commitment by your community. And by commitment, I mean doing whatever it takes. You can be interested in having leadership. You can be interested in wanting to build leadership. And we've worked in some communities to where they say they want leadership built. They say they want their county towns to be involved in it. And then when their county towns are involved in it, the county seat that controls the money, that might put in more money than any other community around the county. So that county seat thinks that they own the organization. That leadership doesn't like the power shift. And so they will do anything they can to destroy the trust level and destroy the relationship that has been built over the course of years, or whatever that effort was. And so that is really important. That trust, if it has been broken, it needs to be repaired. It needs to be built back. And so learning new leadership style, learning collaborative leadership models, that's how you build that trust relationship back.
It's really important, because in the Community Prosperity Institute, one of the things that we do is look at commuting patterns. That is just a demographic that needs to be considered while you're thinking about your community and its vitality. So when the county seat town thinks that it is the king, then the smaller towns, there may be a fair number of people who commute into that county seat town to work at your employment base. They're part of a strong part of your workforce, or those people may go elsewhere. But if you lose their dollars when they shop elsewhere, then that impacts your community, it impacts your seat. So having that trusting relationship is really important. And when you build that up, then you're going to get a great outcome that you may not have seen because it comes from an unexpected place.
So really, if you want to build your community, we have coined a phrase. We have coined
It's a great word.
a new word that you need to do, and that's be a communifier. A communifier is one that is committed to unifying that community. Now, your community needs to be defined, and that's what we were talking about of a commuting pattern of where are your people coming. But a communifier unifies a community. So you really need to build leadership styles that build communifiers, not one, but more. Having everybody be a communifier, a spark plug, if you will. And all those spark plugs need to think like an entrepreneur. And so that's the type, and that's where we want to do the Institute. So now you have the collaborative leadership organization that's going to funnel through the processes and to build the community that will help create an environment that attracts families and attracts youth and makes your community a family-friendly, youth-centered place. And so once we go through these institutes, once we go through where these are at, you will know the steps you need to take. It's not a short-term process. You need to commit that it's going to be 20 years to 25 years out, right? Always have a 20 to 25 year viewpoint of ongoing, because if you're going to leverage a sustainable community, if you're going to leverage something that you want to have supported, this is what it's going to take. Right? And so you need to commit to that process. You need to commit to that long-term view. So if you're interested, give us a contact. Contact us at Frank@GHorizons or Kim@GHorizons.com. Let us start a conversation. Let us help you design family-friendly, youth-centered places that are going to attract an entrepreneurial economy, because that's what this is all about. This isn't about recruiting new businesses. This isn't about creating an industry that creates jobs. This is about creating an economy that attracts wealth.
And by the way, it can both build business and create jobs. So there's those potential results that happen when you use our institute. So we're just excited to get to visit with you. Love to hear from you. We are here at our live stream Monday through Friday on YouTube and Facebook at Rural Community Solutions. And you can catch a podcast if that's easier for you. If you go to anchor.fm/Frank Spillers, think like an entrepreneur, become a spark plug.
So tomorrow we're going to move over. Tomorrow we're going to go over how do you handle those wicked issues? How do you handle controversy? How do you handle conflict in your community that might raise it up? Or a school bond issue, immigration. You're losing your population. You're losing your youth. You might have to have taxes are going up. You might have low housing in your community. How do you talk about that? How do you talk through those issues? So come back tomorrow, 11:30 a.m. Central Time, and we'll have an engaged conversation.
Have a great day, everyone. Thanks for joining us.
See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.